Hey guys, we are going to be going over your heat unit assignment, and so that you can listen along to this video as you complete this assignment. And if you ever need to pause the video so that you can think a little bit longer, feel free to do that, okay? So you're going to have your heat unit assignment opened up, and you're going to click on the second slide. And on the second slide, you have to give an example of each conductor and insulators. So in order to type your answer, you have to click inside the box. And on the left side, the boxes are you going to be typing in examples of conductors. And on the right side, you're going to be typing in examples of insulators. On the third slide, you're going to have to insert and drag a line to match the vocabulary word to the definition. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the words on the left side, the list of the words, and then I'm going to read the definitions that are on the right side. So the first word on the left, and I'm actually going to show you the screen so you have a visual of what I'm reading. All right, guys. So we're on this third slide. So this first word is thermometer, thermal energy, conductor, insulator, temperature, melting. And then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to insert and drag a line to which ones match the definition. So now I'm going to read you the definitions on the left side. How hot or cold something is. Something that heat moves quickly through. Something that heat does not move quickly through. A form of energy that moves from one object to another. When something is changed from a solid to a liquid. A tool that measures how much heat an object has. All right, so this is what you have to do for the third slide. Remember, you can always pause this video and you can even go back in the video if you need to hear it again. All right, so on this fourth slide, you have to identify which object is a conductor or an insulator. And you select your answer using the highlighter tool. All right, so the first object is metal spoon. So is a metal spoon, is it an insulator or a conductor? Okay. Snow. Is that an insulator or a conductor? Blanket. Is that an insulator or a conductor? Copper. Is that an insulator or a conductor? Wood. Is that an insulator or a conductor? Steel. Is that an insulator or a conductor? And the last one is gloves. Is that an insulator or a conductor? All right, so I think that for the fifth slide, you have to type an answer. The question is, what are the differences in conductors and insulators? The directions say explain your answer in complete sentences. Give 2 examples of a conductor and 2 examples of an insulator. And you have to click inside the box to be able to type your answer. So make sure that you include 2 examples of a conductor and 2 examples of insulators, and you write those in complete sentences, which means you have capital letters, you have punctuation, and you have an organized sentence. All right, so slide number 6. I'm going to read the paragraph at the top for you, and then I'm going to read the questions. All right, so how does heat change things? Heat can change objects and materials to change. Did you know when an object gets hot, it expands? When an ice cube melts, it changes from a solid to a liquid. When you freeze liquid, it changes from a liquid to a solid. Water can also evaporate when heated. Thermal energy is what makes objects feel hot or cold. In fact, when you measure an object's temperature, you are really measuring how much thermal energy it has. Temperature is a measure of how hot or cold something is. When heat flows into an object, the object gains thermal energy. Its temperature increases. Its particles move faster and faster apart. The object gets bigger or expands. When heat flows out of an object, the object loses thermal energy. Its temperature decreases. Its particles move more slowly. The object gets smaller or contracts. So the first question that they're asking you is, what happens when an ice cube melts? And you're going to type your answer in the box next to question number 1. And I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I just read question number 1. Okay, number 2. What happens when you freeze water? What happens when you freeze water? Number 3. How do you measure how hot or cold something is? How do you measure how hot or cold something is? Number 4. All objects are made of. All objects are made of. Number 5. When heat flows into an object, the object gains. And then number 6, when heat flows out of an object, the object blank thermal energy. All right, so that was slide number 6, and now we're going to move on to slide number 7. And this slide is called melting or freezing. Identify which is an example of melting or freezing. Select your answer using the highlighter tool. All right, so I'm going to read each one of these to you, and you have to decide if this is an example of melting or freezing. So the first one is ice cream cone outside on a hot summer day. Is that melting or freezing? The second one, a cup of water sitting outside during the winter season. Would that be an example of melting or freezing? Marshmallows and hot chocolate. Is that an example of melting or freezing? Snowman outside during sunny weather. Is that an example of melting or freezing? The next one, homemade popsicles put in the freezer. Is that melting or freezing? Water put in ice trays, then put in the freezer. Is that melting or freezing? And then the last one is butter placed in the microwave. Would that be melting or freezing? All right, and we have one more slide. And I'm going to read this one to you, and then I'm going to read aloud the questions. All right, so the title of this paragraph is Heat. Have you ever put your hands around a cup of hot chocolate? What did it feel like? Did your hands feel warm? Heat moved from the cup of hot chocolate to your hands. Heat can travel through many things like liquids, gases, and solids. No matter the object or material, heat always moves from a warmer object to a cooler one. Certain objects and materials like conductors, heat moves very easily through. Here are a few examples of these objects and materials. Metals, copper, aluminum, Objects and materials that heat does not move easily through are called insulators. Snow, wool blankets, socks are all examples of insulators. All objects are made of tiny particles. The energy that makes the tiny particles move is called thermal energy. The hotter the object is, the more thermal energy it has. All right, guys, we are going to go through the questions, and then you will be done with this assignment. I know y'all are doing awesome. All right, so the first question is, what is an example of a conductor? So in this box, you've got to put your answer. What is an example of a conductor? Number 2, what is an example of an insulator? What is an example of an insulator? Number 3, what makes your hands feel warm when you place your hands around a cup of hot chocolate? What makes your hands feel warm when you place your hands around a cup of hot chocolate? Number 4, all objects are made of. All objects are made of. Number 5, what energy makes the tiny particles move? What energy makes the tiny particles move? And the last one, the hotter is object blank it has. The hotter is object blank it has. All right, guys, I think that is the last slide for this assignment. I know y'all are going to do great. All right, bye, guys.